Bienvenido and welcome to the 2020 Food History Gala of the Smithsonian Institution, our gala from home. I'm Anthea Hartig, the Elizabeth Macmillan Director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History and your host for this evening. As we gather on many native lands across the country and around the world, I am welcoming you from my home in Washington, D.C., on the ancestral lands shared by the Piscataway, the Natchitoches, and the Pamunkey tribes, and now their descendants. We recognize how interdependent our lives are, especially in these turbulent times. Let us remember that this land and lands across the country are home to many Indigenous people. Today and always, let us acknowledge this and give gratitude. Thank you all so much for joining us as we kick off our 6th annual and first virtual Food History Weekend. While we are separated physically, we are connected by our common humanity, our love for food history, our gratitude to the people who grow, prepare, and provide our food, and our drink that nourishes us and sustains us. I want to thank our major sponsors, without whom this evening would not be possible. The Winiarski Family Foundation, our dear friends in the Napa Valley. Our thoughts are with them and with all of your neighbors and fellow vintners who are experiencing devastating wildfires during the harvest of this year. I also want to thank the Julia Child Foundation for Gastronomy and Culinary Arts for their ongoing collaboration, friendship, and support. You'll be hearing about them a little bit more later. Clark Construction and the Brewers Association have contributed over many years to our food and beverage programs, and we're most grateful to them. In the hour ahead, you'll be hearing from people across the United States and even from around the world as we honor the 2020 recipient of the Julia Child Award, Danielle Nierenberg, a young woman who is literally changing the way the world thinks about food from the organization she co-founded, Food Tank. We'll be learning a lot more about Dani and her team later on, but it is first my true honor and privilege to introduce our friend and the 14th Secretary, first historian, and the first African-American to lead the Smithsonian Institution, the largest research and museum complex in the world, Lonnie G. Bunch III.
Thanks, Anthea, and welcome everyone. I applaud your commitment to creating a future where everyone can access nutritious, healthy, affordable, and culturally appropriate food. Thanks to the Smithsonian Food History team at the National Museum of American History for putting together this amazing event. Congratulations to Danielle Nierenberg, president of Food Tank, the think tank for food, on winning the Julia Child Award. It speaks to Danielle's ability to bring together people and organizations who care about a more sustainable and just food future. And thanks to all the sponsors and attendees who support the Food History Project, especially during this challenging year. Thanks to you, we're creating a paid internship in museum and food studies for underrepresented communities. As the nation grapples with the dual pandemics of COVID and racial injustice, it's the perfect time. I'm always impressed by food justice advocates. You recognize that our economic well-being is tied to our food system. And you promote food entrepreneurship, acquisition of farmland, living wages, and healthy environments for the workers who put food on our table. You drive home the need to consider the true societal cost of what we eat. Please enjoy these virtual conversations, demonstrations, and galleries. And if you're like me, they'll inspire you to make your own communities better. And they'll remind you that we should never take our food for granted. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lonnie. Historically, we've been able to share an evening together in person in the museum to celebrate the legacy of Julia Child and the accomplishments of the award recipients, and to raise needed funds for our own history work at the museum. As Lonnie mentioned, this year we celebrate from home, and we're highlighting a new initiative, the paid internship program in food history that will help prepare a new generation of curators, educators, and historians, as well as writers, for future opportunities. Toward that end, we encourage you to support our Box for Good, which contains items donated by individuals and organizations that have been helping make a difference in the lives of so many people affected by the coronavirus and the cascading crises surrounding it. Please consider donating to this initiative anytime during the gala by clicking the button on the screen. Easy to do. We'll make it very easy for you. This gala traditionally kicks off Food History Weekend, and now that it's from home, I hope you will take advantage of the terrific conversations, cooking demonstrations, and online galleries that will be available this entire weekend, free to all, and created around this year's core theme, Food Futures, Striving for Justice. Let's meet some of the people who are working towards that future and who you will hear from during the weekend programming.
Good evening. My name is Kim R. Ford, and I am the proud president of Martha's Table. We are 40 years old and 40 years strong. We support strong children, strong families, and strong communities through quality education, health and wellness, and family and community supports. I was so honored to be invited to participate on a panel on Saturday, October 17th, about how COVID is impacting hunger in our city. And I sure hope that you're going to tune in.
Hello, I'm Wimlendra Sharan, Director of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization for North America. I'm happy to be a part of this, and I'm looking forward to speaking on tomorrow's World Food Day panel about rebuilding food systems.
Hello, everybody. I am participating in a panel of Rebuilding the Food System with Danny Nierenberg and many others on this amazing World Food Day ahead of us on October 16th. Such an important topic. We won't solve it in an hour, people, but please tune in and see how you can help to feed the world in a better way on World Food Day.
Hi, I'm Haley Thomas, wellness and compassion activist, vegan cookbook author, and the CEO and co-founder of the Happy Organization. I am super excited to be a part of Food History Weekend and can't wait to whip up my beet pasta with garlicky greens. So be sure to tune in to check out how to make this recipe.
Hi, my name is Leah Penniman, and I'm the farm manager and co-director at Soulfire Farm in Grafton, New York. I am so excited to participate in this weekend's panel on rebuilding the food system.
Hello, I'm Julia Child. Welcome to The French Chef and the first show on our series on French cooking.
Oh, thank you, Julia. It's always so comforting to hear that voice again, a voice that I grew up with on my mother's television set. Other voices that bring us comfort and joy include the past recipients of the Julia Child Award, all of whom are joining us this evening. We're so grateful for their presence and their words of encouragement to this year's awardee, Danny Nierenberg. It is a distinct pleasure to welcome Jacques Pepin, the first recipient of the Julia Child Award. Jacques, of course, cooked with Julia in her home kitchen as their dear friendship evolved. He continues to delight and enlighten millions of us, home cooks and chefs alike.
Dear Daniel, congratulations on winning the Julia Child Award right here. Welcome to our little club. We need you. We need your expertise in sustainable agriculture so that we can help alleviate hunger and feed the planet. What you're doing is vitally important, and it is my hope that we can find a way to help you. I know that Julia would be very proud of you, of your commitment. As you know, she had a certainly profound influence on the way people cook in America. Certainly a profound influence on television cooking and on the respect certainly given to women in cooking. She extolled a cooking grounded in common sense, in quality of ingredient, and solid technique. But maybe more than anything else, she especially wanted people to know that cooking is fun, that it's great to be in the kitchen with your friend. All of the cooks who learned from her will carry that message so that the younger generation will have a lasting legacy.
Merci beaucoup, Sir Jacques. It's such an honor to have Julia Child's kitchen as part of our collection at the National Museum of American History. Our intrepid curators collected it from Julia herself in 2001, and it has been on view almost continuously since then. Of course, the museum has been closed for much of 2020 due to the pandemic, and we want to assure everyone that it is in very good shape and it is ready when you are to make a safe and socially distanced visit. Julia's Kitchen is the opening experience in our major exhibition, Food, Transforming the American Table. This exhibition explores the history of some of the major changes in our food system since World War II. As you know, that's a big story, and one that continues to be a through line of our weekend panels about the need to rebuild the food systems. Julia had a wonderful sense of adventure and curiosity about food, encouraging Americans who had embraced post-war excitement over convenient, easy, and processed foods to try new things and to care about ingredients and cooking from home. She served as a mentor to many people, and that commitment to new generations is something we share with Julia as we work in the field of public history. In fact, we built a full demonstration kitchen and a public plaza inside the museum where we practice what Julia taught us: cook together, learn new recipes and culinary traditions, and to welcome people to engage in meaningful conversations about how food connects us and brings us together across time, across cultures, across places. I'd like to now welcome a member of our Food History Advisory Group, aptly named the Kitchen Cabinet, Dr. Jessica B. Harris, the Dean of African American Culinary History, and so much more.
Internships are important. Paid internships are especially important. Paid internships for people from underrepresented communities to allow them to become involved in museum studies and in the writing and the displaying of history are supremely important. The museum's initiative to establish paid internship for a person from such a community is magnificent and extraordinarily important.
My name is Stephanie Warkowski, and I interned with the food history team at the National Museum of American History this past summer. It was an incredible opportunity to work with historians and curators, as well as a whole host of other professionals across the museum. I want to thank everyone who helped make this internship such a valuable experience, and I look forward to seeing it benefit others who are passionate in food and history for years to come.
Hi, my name is Marsha Chusi, and I was the 2019 Food History Curatorial Intern. This internship was incredibly valuable to me since I was at a point in my career where I wanted to pivot from a job in healthcare into something that would combine my interest in food and documenting my family's migration history. This internship helped me understand how to use my education and work experience and apply it in the area of food history. I learned how to conduct oral histories and bring my organizational skills to planning Food History Weekend. I also had the chance to learn from and work with other museum staff and participate in enriching activities with my fellow interns. It was such a wonderful opportunity to be mentored by Paula Johnson and Dr. Ashley Rose Young, who really encouraged me in my own food writing goals. I'm really excited to hear about the new paid internship initiative for interns in food history, museum studies, and food journalism. I hope their experience is as rich and broad as mine was as a food history intern. Thank you, and have a great evening.
When you flip anything, you just have to have the courage of your convictions, particularly if it's sort of a loose mass like this. Well, that didn't go very well. See, when I flipped it, I didn't have the courage to do it the way I should have. But you can always pick it up, and if you're alone in the kitchen, who is going to see? But the only way you learn how to flip things is just to flip them.
Oh, yes. Having the courage of your convictions. One of my favorite Julia quotes, and definitely words to live by. This brings us to the relationship between the museum and the Julia Child Foundation. We've worked together over many years and share a deep friendship and appreciation for sustaining Julia's legacy. It's my pleasure to introduce a short video about the Julia Child Award, which we will be presenting to Danielle Nierenberg in just a few minutes.
At the time when Julia came up with her first television show, there really was no one like her. This woman in public broadcasting, giving her personality and her fearless nature to try and not be afraid of trying and having fun at the same time. Nothing like that existed.
We're always broiling and grilling and baking and braising and barbecuing chickens. But what's ever happened to the roast chicken? Now, you know, there's something just terribly exciting about seeing a whole suckling pig.
The award itself both is a recognition of an individual, but also a $50,000 grant to a nonprofit that the recipient is passionate about.
Here at the museum, we've been blessed to be involved with Julia since the 1990s. That culminated in 2001 when we were incredibly fortunate to collect her entire kitchen from Cambridge. The National Museum of American History is so honored to work with the Julia Child Foundation. It very much bears cur imprimatur. I think she truly believes in that educational mission.
The mission of the Julia Child Foundation is to educate and encourage everyone to appreciate the joys of eating, cooking, and drinking well.
That's all for today on The French Chef. This is Julia Child. Bon appetit!
Julia was always her own person. I think you could almost call her like an activist. She made good food accessible to everyone, but she was an activist in that sort of Pied Piper way. She could take you down paths that you never could imagine going down. And that was the brilliance. She got people cooking things they'd never heard of. She got them excited about food in a way that they'd never been excited about food before. And without Julia's presence, we would never have gotten to the place that we are in this good food movement in the United States.
"2020, what a year." If we've learned anything from this year, it's that you better make a difference. This is a year where you go, we can either sit on our knees and stay on our knees, or we can look at this moment as being in a crouched position from which we can leap forward and make the kind of changes that we need to make in this industry once and for all. We have food security issues and we have people security issues. And now's our time of reckoning. Our industry does so much for so many people and for so many communities. We're about hospitality, but hospitality will never be fulfilled unless it's hospitality for all. We need to make sure that our compensation systems and the way we treat people in general actually propel us to do better work on behalf of women, on behalf of people of color. And if we don't seize this moment right now, we will have lost one of the great opportunities that this awful period has presented us with. I'm confident we will.
Thank you so much, Rick and Danny. We appreciate all that you've brought to restaurants and dining in America. And we know that restaurants and restaurant workers have taken a devastating hit this year. We wish you and all in the food and retail and restaurant business better times ahead. Thank you also for your devoted and significant philanthropic work during the pandemic and for joining us in honoring Danny Nierenberg this evening. It is now my great pleasure to introduce my friend, Eric Spivey, Chairman of the Julia Child Foundation for Gastronomy and the Culinary Arts.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for the first ever global presentation of the Julia Child Award. I'm speaking to you from Santa Barbara, California, a place Julia loved and called home, and the headquarters of the Julia Child Foundation. I want to thank Lonnie Bunch and Thea Hardig, Paula Johnson, along with the entire team Julia at the museum. They are a joy to partner with each year as part of the Smithsonian Food History Weekend. On behalf of the trustees and staff of the foundation, we are proud to have made roughly 220 grants, totaling more than $2.5 million over the last 15 years to support research in culinary history, scholarships for professional culinary training, food writing and media, as well as professional development, food literacy, and food justice programs. I don't need to explain how unique 2020 is. That being said, a constant for each of the previous 5 years, as well as the 6th year, is a presentation of the Julia Child Award to an incredibly deserving individual carrying on Julia's culinary torch. Thank you to Jacques Papin, Rick Bayless, Danny Meyer, Mary Sue Milliken, Susan Feniger, and Jose Andres for their ongoing stewardship of Julia's legacy. We are thrilled that when the jurors met weeks before the pandemic hit, they unanimously selected Danielle Nierenberg. Each year, they masterfully select individuals that embody Julia's values. Please visit juliachildaward.com to learn more about the selection criteria and details on past recipients, jurors, and the award director. There is so much connective tissue between Julia and Danielle. They both have deep respect and curiosity for how the food system works, as well as both take an optimistic approach, bringing people together to make positive change. Thank you again for your participation this evening, and please watch this short piece about Danielle as we move closer to the award presentation. Have a wonderful night.
When you're raised in a place called Defiance, you might be destined to go against the grain. A quest for solutions to the global food system's most pressing problems sent Danielle Nierenberg, our 6th recipient of the Julia Child Award, on a journey around the world. Just as Julia sounded the alarm more than 50 years ago about industrializing our food, Danny is on a mission to make it more equitable, nutritious, and sustainable. Born to parents who left the city behind, Danielle grew up among show-me state farmers, which bred one of her key mantras: farmers know best. When research is led by farmers, it's more effective. After graduating from Monmouth College, Danielle served in the Peace Corps in the Dominican Republic, earned a master's degree at Tufts, and joined World Watch Institute where, fortuitously, she researched infectious diseases related to food. Like Julia, Dani thinks about what to have for dinner as soon as she's finished lunch. This passion for eating inspired her to spend 18 months in 30 different sub-Saharan African countries, rooting out grassroots innovations to address poverty and hunger as part of her Nourishing the Planet project. Recognizing that information is power, Danielle co-founded Food Tank, a think tank for food, with Bernard Pollock in 2013. Widely recognized as one of the foremost conveners and nonpartisan creators of original research on rebuilding the global food system, Food Tank offers a trusted, safe space for all sides, while seeking diversity and sustainability for a just world. Its summits have hosted thousands of participants, and Food Tank reaches millions more via its live streams and podcast, Food Talk with Dani Nierenberg. With global public health at its most precarious point in a century, it's hard to imagine a more deserving or important recipient of the 2020 Julia Child Award than Danielle Nierenberg.
Dani, I'm so happy that you're receiving this honor. I'm really, really happy for you. I congratulate you. And here in Uganda, it's a big news, and we are really, really happy. I congratulate you and your team and everyone attending this wonderful event. Congratulations.
Bobby Chen, Indochine Hospitality, presently in Cairo, Egypt. I was first introduced to Danielle in 2010 from a friend of mine at the Rockefeller Foundation. I was interested in our food system, sustainability, climate change, and all that jazz. I've been following Danielle for more than a decade, and I find her incredibly inspirational.
I'm very happy, and I congratulate Daniela Nierenberg on being felicitated and receiving this honor, which she very rightly deserves. Daniela has dedicated her life to the local conservation, preservation, and distribution of food, and making sure that the poor, women, and their households also have access to food.
In 2012, Daniel Nierenberg became a valued member of the Barilla Center for Food and Nutrition Foundation's advisory board. An inspirational leader in the field of food systems, it is only fitting that Dani be recognized this year as the Food History Gala focuses on the theme of Food Futures Striving for Justice. I am personally grateful to Danielle for her outstanding commitment on advancing knowledge and engagement of sustainable development through our food systems. And I recognize her as one of the most reputable global food champions of our time.
Hello, my name is Fabrício. I am from São Paulo, Brazil. I am the founder of Taquari, a company that processes and exports the baru seed, a powerful seed from the Brazilian savannas. I always read Food Tank's website and received the newsletter, and also constant listen to Dani's podcast. So last year I decided to connect with them to introduce the baru and also to show them the potential it has to preserve the Brazilian biodiversity and to avoid the deforestation of the Brazilian Cerrado.
G'day, my name's Dr. Sandro Di Maio. I'm the CEO at Vic Health here in Australia. And I met Dani years ago when we were both a fair bit younger, but just as passionate about changing the global food system. It was in fact at one of the United Nations General Assemblies.
Congratulations, Dani, for your much-deserved honor. When I wrote Diet for a Small Planet, now almost 50 years ago, no way I could have imagined today's vital food movement. But now it is here. And Dani, you've been so key to it. I feel that every movement needs a welcoming, energizing convener who's not about promoting herself or himself, but celebrating and encouraging its emergence in all its forms and all its diversity. And Danny, you are such a leader. I'm also touched by the time and the effort you've made to travel great distances, to learn firsthand from those on the ground doing the good work, and then sharing their voices and their accomplishments. Your tenaciousness also touches me. As food challenges deepen now with climate change and hunger worsens with inequality here and around the world, you continue to step up. And in events that I've shared with you, Danny, what strikes me is your quiet passion, your focused knowledge, and your modesty. So I know that I speak for millions when I thank you for shining the light on others and on solutions, for being a leader who can capture the deepest meaning and potential of the food movement. So congratulations again for this great honor.
But you see how nicely you can do with loads and loads of omelets. Then, see, I have enough eggs in here to go on and on and on. And this is really, I think it's just such fun. You can get the whole family in on the act. And you could have 5 omelet pans working at once. And you could easily serve 300 people. Now let's see how long that would take. Let's see, an omelet takes about 20 seconds to make. And that means you could make 3 omelets a minute. And if you had 5 people making omelets, that would be 5 times 3 is 15 omelets a minute. And 15 minutes into 300 people equals 20 minutes. So how's that for a last-minute supper party for 300 people served in 20 minutes? So that's all for today on The French Chef.
You know, the pandemic has been a real teacher in so many ways. We have a restaurant in downtown Los Angeles that really is a ghost town and there's no one to eat there. So we've actually completely overhauled the kitchen to be cooking for the homeless, where we deliver to hotels, and also for the elderly, a program here in LA that's really great because we get to talk to the people all the time on the phone, and we deliver 3 meals a day to their door. And it's really been kind of incredible to work together with the city and the county and even nationally, and with, of course, World Central Kitchen to, you know, kind of pivot and be serving the people who are insecure with food right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost been 5 months now where we've been actually serving, I think, producing about 8,000 meals a week, which is incredible. It's, you know, our executive chef downtown there has really pushed himself to be able to bring at least part of his team back, and then to be packing up these meals and seeing the way people respond so positively to being able to have a healthy meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Also, I've been doing a lot of work. I'm on the board of the Los Angeles LGBT Center, and we've created a Pride Pantry where we're doing 300 or 400 boxes every single week at 3 different locations around LA for food insecure youth and seniors in the same way. So it's, you know, certainly the way our industry always responds, even in the hardest of times. I think in the industry that's been the hardest, we're still there to support the community.
So much has happened since we last saw each other when you received the Julia Child Award last fall in 2019. So I think the work we're all doing together is even more important. What are you seeing for this fall and this winter, and what are you seeing moving forward?
What I see is that still is going to be hard. Still, we're going to see pockets and issues. A lot of people are not furloughed anymore. A lot of people are being fired already. Some of those jobs are even disappearing. Unfortunately, it's tens of thousands of restaurants that they are closing right and left. Those restaurants are not going to come anytime soon. That means that those jobs are not coming anytime soon. And the federal government in America, I'm talking America, but this is in the world, the governments of the world, they need to recognize that this is a moment to stand up right. and be behind those people. And if we don't do that, I think we're going to get to a spring that will be hopefully better, but hopefully is the beginning of the end for this pandemic. But there still is going to be a lot of people that during the next months and couple of years ahead, we're going to have to come with a very smart structure to make sure that we take care of them. In the same way, the World Progress Administration was created back in the days to take care of many of the people that didn't have anything to do. We're going to have to come up with them. We can change the name because I know it's not a very friendly name for some because some political reasons. We can call it whatever. But the truth, we're going to have to come with a major plan that is very holistic. Obviously, I do food, and food is what is close to my heart. But food touches so many people and so many things, creates so many jobs. And at the same time, if we use the funds of the federal government in the right way, we can be feeding so many people in the process of creating jobs and keeping the economy running. That for me is a very simple thing to be smart in how we take care of this pandemic humanitarian crisis by making sure that food becomes part of the solution and not part of the problem. History, again, can serve as well. Let's learn what really did work well in the 30s and the WPA, and let's improve what didn't work so well, and let's build to make sure that we are able to respond with the full force of the federal government to make sure that we put people in the path to a better future. I think history can play a very important role to guide our leaders to make the right decisions to keep moving America and the world forward.
All this delicious conversation about Julia Child inspired me to come down to the museum, and I'm here by her kitchen. The food exhibition looks beautiful. We miss the crowds here, but we'll remain here for the rest of the evening as we honor and celebrate Danny Nierenberg. It's my pleasure to introduce two special friends to share more about Danny with you, Dr. Kathleen Merrigan and Chef Dan Barber.
What a thrill it is to be here to celebrate my friend Danny Nierenberg and Food Tank. What a ride it's been. I just want to give you a sense of some of the lists that Food Tank puts out. Just recently, 28 organizations promoting indigenous food security, 12 organizations creating food products from upcycled food waste, 14 Latinx food change makers, 12 organizations combating food insecurity in Yemen, 15 organizations and initiatives helping to save the bees, 20 teachers and educators building a stronger food system, 22 women fighting for food justice. Speaking of, Danny has done so many wonderful things, and she has shined the light on many creative, passionate, and exciting people and organizations that most of us would have never heard of before. She lifts up very important stories and shares them and is building community, not just across the U.S., but across the globe. I first met Danny a million years ago. I'm of the age, that's how we talk, when she introduced herself as a student that had gone through the Tufts University Ag, Food, and Environment program that I was directing at the time. And we've since become great friends. I partnered with her on her very first Food Tank Summit. We've done 3 together. And now I don't know how many she's done globally. It's just a wonderful thing where she has tapped people's energy and excitement about food. So here tonight, it's perfect. Danny is number 1 on my list. I hope she's on your list too. She's the person we can always count on to empower others and lift up stories of hope.
Good evening. Danielle Nierenberg comes from Missouri, from a small farming town called Defiance. It's a world away from the world that Danny has created with Food Tank. So Danny is our Lewis and Clark of better food. She has explored a new frontier of farmers and producers, policymakers, government leaders, researchers, scientists, academics, journalists, and chefs. Bringing these disparate communities together, she has established an uncharted landscape for tackling food system change. Because farmers, producers, scientists, and policymakers do not have a history of agreeing with each other. These are groups that have a history of not even talking to each other. But Danny, who is 3 parts community organizer and 1 part Montessori grade school teacher, has built a very large, accessible tent, a place for the exchange of information and ideas. And in doing so, she made it obvious how necessary it is. In other words, if Danny didn't exist, we would have had to invent her. Now, I have been interviewed by Danny a few times, and I'm always struck by the way she makes me feel. She is like what we all imagine Julia Child to have been. The kind of person who so charms you that you feel you are yourself charming. She'll coax details out of complicated ideas with clarity and wide-eyed curiosity. And then you'll realize later on, as I have many times, that she knows quite a bit more about the subject than she lets on. Just look at her newsletter and her podcasts and her summit topics. It's a tour de force. You'll learn how Australia plans to save honeybees from a deadly mite, how preserving Appalachian biodiversity has to start with cider apples, and how to celebrate the food trade in Durban, South Africa. Danny reports on issues I didn't even know were issues. For Julia Child, food was the medium, but the message amounted to a philosophy of life. For Danny, Food Tank is the medium, but the message amounts to a blueprint for how we need to build a better food system. Because just as Julia Child did something more important than teach us to cook by teaching us to eat, Danny is doing something more important than raising awareness. She is teaching us to break down walls, to cross-pollinate ideas among stakeholders. And like Julia Child, this inspiring woman from Defiance, Missouri, is always defying our understanding of how things are supposed to be done. Danny, congratulations on this amazing honor.
Thank you, Chef. And warmest greetings, Danny, and welcome to Julia Child's Kitchen and the Museum.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, you honor us, and we're so in awe of your accomplishments and can't wait to see what you and Food Tank do next.
Thank you so much.
There it is.
Dear Daniel, congratulations on winning the Julia Child Award right here. Welcome to our little club.
Congratulations, Danny, for this amazing award and for your important and significant work at Food Tank.
Congratulations, Danny, on receiving the Julia Child Award for this year, and best wishes to you and Food Tank in the years to come.
Congratulations, Danny. This is an amazing honor, so well deserved.
Danny, this is so exciting.
Wow, Danny, congratulations.
Dear Danny, felicidades. Congratulations.
A huge congratulations, Danny.
Congratulations, Danny.
Congratulations, Danny.
Congratulations, Danny.
Congratulations.
A big congrats from Down Under here in Australia, Danny. This honour is so well deserved.
Congratulations, Danny, for the award. Well deserved.
My sincere congratulations to you, Danielle, for your achievement in earning the Julia Child Award.
I feel tremendous excitement to join such esteemed food movement leaders
in congratulating Danny as the recipient of the 2020 Julia Child Award. I've known Danny for 20 years, and I've personally watched her interview thousands of farmers and visited projects in more than 40 countries, including 26 in sub-Saharan Africa. Danny is tenacious. She works 7 days a week, deep into the night, because she cares so deeply about all of us, about what we eat and how that food gets to our plate. And I've personally witnessed her on 5 continents, from fish farmers in Senegal to promoting school gardens in Uganda, to helping women farmers forming unions in India, to supporting organic growers in Brazil. I've watched Danny unearth agricultural projects while suffering from extreme fever, fatigue, the flu. I've seen her visiting farmers in war zones, going between projects and armored vehicles. I've seen her board planes that literally look like they were put together with masking tape. It has been the honor of a lifetime co-founding and running Food Tank with her and watching it become the fastest growing sustainable food nonprofit in the world. I couldn't ask for a better friend, and I couldn't ask for a more determined advocate. Congratulations, Danny. I truly believe Julia Child would be as proud of you as we all are.
Thanks to Anthea and Dan. It's an incredible honor to be here. I still can't believe I'm here. I also want to thank the Julia Child Foundation. As a recipient, I am truly standing on the shoulders of giants. Not only Julia Child's, but the past 6 recipients who are legends in the culinary and advocacy worlds. I've told the foundation how this award will honestly change the lives of all of us at Food Tank. The recognition is going to help us raise awareness around important issues in food and agriculture, and will give us the opportunity to raise so much more awareness. I'm so thankful for the award and the foundation's belief that we can carry on a small part of Julia Child's legacy. As a trailblazer, she is someone who inspires generation after generation. Food Tank is both a team and a family. And without the dedication and hard work of my co-founder, Bernard Pollock, who's also my best friend, Food Tank would not be possible. I accept this award on his behalf as well as my own. I also want to thank my brilliant husband, Bill Burke, who is my biggest cheerleader, and on my off days reminds me why it's important to share stories of hope and success in the food system, and to amplify the voices who are doing amazing work but don't get the recognition they deserve. I also want to thank my late husband, Phil Saley, who taught me about both love and resilience, which we need more of in the world, especially right now. And I want to thank my parents, Fred and Joyce Nierenberg, for encouraging me and telling me it was okay to march to the beat of a different drum. My mom was a food waste warrior before it was cool, and when my dad passed away when I was 22, I never had a chance to see me truly grow up. I know he's proud of what we have done. And I want to thank Julia Child. She paved the way for so many of us working in food and agriculture. She inspired a nation to believe that cooking real food and whole food did not have to be difficult, and that knowing where your food comes from is as important as what you eat. And while we do have to discuss serious issues like hunger, the climate crisis, and of course the pandemic, Julia's legacy reminds us that food is meant to bring joy as well as nourishment. It does feel very strange to celebrate an award in this crazy and turbulent year, but I am incredibly grateful for Food Tank's role as a storyteller. We've spent the last 7 months sharing how the food system is transforming in the midst of the pandemic. Perhaps that is the one silver lining of COVID-19, that so much of what goes into getting food onto our plates has become more visible, and the people who do the work are more recognized for the essential role they play in getting food to our tables every day. We can't ignore the people behind the food system, and we cannot ignore the fragility of our current food and agricultural systems. We all need to have more uncomfortable but necessary conversations about racial injustice and social inequality and our own biases. And we need to understand that the climate crisis is real, and the urgency of addressing it is more important than ever before. When we make it to the other side of this pandemic, and we will, we must all be determined not to go back to the way things were. It's time for a true reckoning and a true transformation of our food and agricultural systems. Food systems that are more equitable and bring everyone to the table and allows this generation and future generations to not only survive, but to thrive. And finally, I want to remind us that November is almost here. This year, more than ever before, voting with our forks is not enough. We have to vote with our votes. We need to vote as if our lives depend on it. Make a plan. Vote now if you can. Vote on election day as safely as you can, but vote because, again, our lives depend on it and the lives of so many who are transforming the food system depend on it. We can use our votes to create a food system that the world needs. Thank you again to the Foundation. It is my true honor to be a recipient of the Julia Child Award. Thank you so much again.
Congratulations, Danny. And thank you, all of you, for tuning in to our first ever Gala from Home. A special thanks to all the people who participated in this evening. We so appreciate you joining us and your wonderful and warm and affirming remarks. I know this is a strange time and a virtual format, but our hearts are genuinely filled with gratitude. For our guests, please do check out the online schedule of all of our Food History Weekend cooking demonstrations, conversations, and special galleries on food justice coming up. It's not too late to help us out. Click that donate button and help us fund further internships around food justice. That button is still live. And now I was thinking, in the spirit of Julia, we have a little bubbly and goldfish crackers. Really, that was one of her favorite things. So let's give a toast to you, to Danny, to the entire Food Tank family, and to food justice. A warm thanks to everyone who joined us tonight. And here's to food history, food justice, Food Tank, better days ahead, and a brighter tomorrow.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. And bon appetit.
Bon appétit!
Bon appetit!
Bon appetit!
Bon appetit!
Bon appetit!
Bon appetit!
This is Julia Child. Bon appetit.